In the quiet, mystical village of Karumu, where the Nyara River whispers secrets to the ancient trees, lived a handsome fisherman named Tund, known throughout the village for his charm and endless trail of broken hearts. Tund's smile could melt the coldest of souls. But one fateful evening, beneath the silver glow of a full moon, Tund crossed a line no mortal dared to touch. He seduced Ife, the revered priestess of the Nyara River goddess. A betrayal so grave unleashed a curse unlike anything the village had ever seen. What followed shattered Tund's world, as every lie and broken promise came with a painful price. The curse twisted his greatest pride into a shameful burden, forcing him to face the hurt he had caused. His carefree escapades spiraled into a nightmare, leading him to a crossroads between redemption and ruin. Sometimes the harshest punishment is not fire or fury, but a reflection of the harm we have done. This is the story of how Tund's charm became his downfall, and how one cursed man's journey uncovered long-buried truths at the heart of Karumu's Nyara River. The sun dipped low over Karumu, casting golden light across the peaceful Nyara. Soft ripples danced upon the water, and birds sang their evening songs. But not all was calm for Tund. At the riverbank, the village's most handsome fisherman stood, his well-built frame glowing in the fading light. His dark, curly hair framed a face that had won countless hearts and broken just as many. Though many women had fallen for his smooth words, none knew the pain behind his charm. His latest conquest was Ife, the wise and graceful priestess of the river goddess, chosen by the divine to carry out sacred rituals and guard the balance between worlds. Ife was revered and trusted by all, but Tund's charm had ensnared her. His sweet compliments and promises of devotion drew her close, despite her wisdom. Their secret meetings by the river grew more frequent, and a bond formed, one that would soon bring disaster. What Tund did not know was that Ife was no ordinary woman. She was the living vessel of the Nyara's spirit goddess, Nia, a powerful, vengeful force who would not tolerate betrayal. One evening, as Tund laughed beside Ife at the water's edge, the air suddenly grew cold. The river darkened, its surface roiling like a stormy sea. A heavy presence settled over the village, and Ife stepped back, fear shining in her eyes as she clasped her hands in prayer. "Tund," she whispered urgently, "something is wrong." Before he could answer, a voice low and terrible echoed from the depths, "You have betrayed me, mortal. You used the heart of my priestess for selfish gain. For this you shall pay." Frozen in shock, Tund's eyes darted across the water, searching for the source. From the river rose a shadowy figure, woman and water intertwined, her hair flowing like streams, her eyes glowing with an eerie light. It was Nia, the Nyara River goddess herself. Her voice shook the ground beneath Tund's feet. "For every lie you tell, for every woman you deceive, your manhood shall grow cursed, so no woman will ever love you the same again. Let this be your punishment." Before Tund could plead, the goddess vanished beneath the waves, leaving only silence and calm. But Tund stood trembling, unable to understand what had just happened. His face paled as he felt a strange sensation, and looked down in horror. His manhood was growing. The curse had begun. Days passed in torment. At first, the changes were subtle, but soon his curse became unbearable. Tund's once proud stride faltered. His charm faded as shame took hold. Villagers noticed his strange behavior, but Tund avoided their eyes, desperate to hide his burden. His life spiraled as the curse marked every deceit, each lie adding to his shame. Tund's days grew darker as he struggled with the curse placed upon him by the river goddess, Nia. Though he continued his work as a fisherman, the river's calm no longer soothed his troubled mind. His heart ached as he thought of Ife, the priestess he had betrayed, never imagining that his lies would bring such a dreadful fate. One afternoon, while sitting by the Nyara River, lost in his thoughts, a young woman approached Amara, recently arrived in Karumu. With her deep brown skin shining under the sun and eyes full of kindness, she seemed unlike anyone Tund had known. Amara saw past his charm and lies, sensing the true man beneath, and with a gentle smile, she asked if he was all right. Struggling with whether to confess, Tund's curse held him back, but for the first time, he found honesty in his heart and revealed the burden growing inside him whenever he lied. Amara's understanding and faith gave him hope, planting a seed of change within him. Together, they sought wisdom from village elders and sacred places, hoping to break the curse, but answers eluded them. As their journey continued, the weight of his past betrayals, especially towards Ife, pressed heavily on Tund's heart. One day, they reached a dense forest where a powerful seer lived, said to communicate with spirits and gods. The thick trees and the eerie chorus of creatures surrounded them, but Amara's calm presence steadied Tund's nerves. There, in a sunlit clearing, they found the old seer, a woman with bark-like skin, silver-braided hair, and eyes glowing with ancient wisdom, her space filled with herbs and ritual trinkets. The magic in the air was palpable, and Tund felt the gravity of the moment. Hoping this meeting would guide him toward redemption, Tund and Amara approached the old seer in the heart of the dense forest, her piercing gaze seeming to look straight through Tund, seeing every lie and betrayal he had committed. The seer explained that Tund's curse was one of dishonor, one that could only be broken by a true change of heart, and that no magic or time alone could lift it, only making amends for the wrongs he had done would prove his worthiness for redemption. Overwhelmed, Tund confessed his fears and failings, unsure how to repair the damage he had caused. But the seer advised him to start with honesty and seeking forgiveness, warning that the road ahead would be long and fraught with skepticism. After leaving the seer, burdened but hopeful, Tund became more introspective, resisting his old habits of deceit, understanding the gravity of his actions. Their first real trial came when they met Kimi, one of Tund's former lovers, whose eyes held the pain of betrayal. Though he apologized and pleaded for a chance to change, Kimi challenged him to prove it through his actions rather than words. Before walking away, Amara comforted him, reminding Tund that true change required deeds, not just promises. Realizing the truth in her words, Tund reflected deeply on the damage he had inflicted on others and himself through selfishness and lies. The curse had forced him to confront his past, and though the path to redemption was difficult, with Amara's steady support, he began to see a flicker of hope for change. Tund felt the heavy echo of Kimi's words in his mind as he struggled with his journey toward redemption, her pain and heartbreak reflecting back the man he once was. Supported by Amara's steady patience, he knew the path ahead would grow even harder. Each day, the trials set by the gods tested his resolve, forcing him to confront the consequences of his past betrayals and lies. Slowly, Tund changed. Longer did he flaunt his charm or seek the admiration of women. Instead, he focused on becoming a man of integrity, burdened still by guilt yet hopeful for transformation. One evening, by the campfire, Amara reminded him that he must prove his change not only to the goddess, but to those he had hurt, through genuine actions, not mere words. The next morning, she gave him a pouch of sacred herbs and oils gathered from the forest, tools to aid his spiritual journey. Their travels soon brought them to Abba's Hope, a secluded village cursed with endless heartbreak, where its people were trapped by past loves and sorrow, their faces hollow and spirits broken. Tund sensed the weight of his past sins even more. There, as the villagers' pain mirrored his own, an elderly woman, wise and stern, greeted them, explaining that redemption meant healing broken hearts, including his own, and that to lift his curse, Tund had to help the villagers release their pain and move on. Understanding the gravity of this task, Tund and Amara spent weeks listening to the villagers' stories and guiding them toward healing. As Tund realized that only by helping others mend their wounds could his own heart begin to heal, Tund slowly began to share his own story with the villagers of Alba's Hope, opening his heart about the lies he had told, the women he had used, and the curse that haunted him because of his actions. The villagers listened with a mix of sorrow and understanding, their eyes reflecting both pain and hope. Though it was difficult, Tun knew that to help others heal, he first had to face his own brokenness. Over time, some villagers began to forgive and move forward, and each small victory felt like a step toward healing. One evening, the wise elder praised him, saying he had helped others and himself, and that the goddess watched and saw his change. Tund realized redemption was not just breaking the curse, but becoming the man he was meant to be. With Amara's encouragement, he accepted the ongoing challenges ahead. As they prepared to leave, Tund felt a shift within. The curse remained, but hope blossomed. Their journey led them back to the Nyara River, the source of his curse and where his ultimate test awaited. The river, once a place of downfall, now called him to face his truth. Standing at the riverbank, under a darkening sky, was the priestess Aoife, still radiant and wise. She reminded Tund that the path to redemption was hard, and not all hearts could be healed easily. His deceit had left many wounds, and the curse was a reflection of his past. To earn her forgiveness and the love he sought, he must prove his true transformation. The weight of her words settled heavily on him, clearing his heart with the certainty of the trial ahead. It was not just about breaking a curse, it was about becoming a new man. Tund faced the final trial at the river's edge as the waters churned violently, and the river goddess Nia emerged, an ethereal figure of shifting water and mist, radiant and powerful. Her glowing eyes fixed on him as she demanded if he was truly willing to change and bear the weight of his past pain. Steeling himself, Tund confessed his wrongs with steady honesty, acknowledging the broken hearts and betrayals he had caused, promising to prove his worthiness through a lifetime of change. Nia's voice boomed like crashing waves, declaring that words alone were not enough. He must demonstrate true sincerity by facing those he had harmed. At her command, the river parted, revealing the sorrowful faces of the women he betrayed, Kimmy, and many others, their eyes filled with hurt and unspoken anger. Overwhelmed yet resolute, Tund begged their forgiveness, vowing to spend his life making amends. Slowly, their faces softened and faded, the weight of their pain lifting, as Nia pronounced a curse broken, but reminded him redemption was an ongoing journey, not a destination. As she vanished beneath the river's surface, Tund felt a peace he had never known. With Amara by his side, he embraced the path ahead, one of honesty, love, and purpose, ready to face all challenges and build a life true to his new self. His story teaches that true change requires confronting our past, seeking forgiveness, and living with integrity, for only then can lasting peace and fulfillment be found.